All right. Hey, welcome to the Ascension to Confidence podcast. My name is Alexandria, aka Zandy, and this is a podcast about all things having to do with redefining confidence. I'm going to be giving you some tools on how you can build your own confidence. We're going to talk about ways that you can combat difficult situations and keep your confidence intact, even if it's just this much. Just this much. That's really all you need. You just need a little bit. And I really hope that y'all stick around with me on this journey to helping you build your confidence, because I feel like in this society, it is just, we are really living through a time where you believing in yourself will quite literally get you killed. It will. And it is not this, you're not imagining it, right? That fear you have of going after that thing because people may say this and they may assume that, and you may not receive the support. It may not pan out the way that you wanted it to pan out. Those are very valid reasons to be afraid to do something, right? Those are very real outcomes that we see other people have, and it can discourage us. And with the way that our entire society is set up right now, you don't even have time to dream. That's by design. Too many people starting to make money from dreaming, and they said, oh, we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. I bet you won't dream again. That's exactly what's going on. So I just want to come here and do my part, because it has been pulling at me for 2 years. 2 years. Here's your receipts. 2 years of, I wrote this podcast idea down, just a little bit of background about how I got here, what's the purpose of the show, where did it come from, and who do I think I am to be trying to tell you how to be confident, okay? But I had the idea for this show one day while I was out doing Uber Eats, and I was just so frustrated, because I'm like, I done tried ASMR, I've tried doing a YouTube channel, I have tried some of everything, and I thought to myself, what is the one thing all of these things have in common? That mouth. And whether it was music, whether it was YouTube, whether it was ASMR, I always found myself going back to wanting to be healthy, wanting to make sure people understood that they're special, they're worthy, that they deserve their best effort, that they should try. I was just like, what am I supposed to do? I have all of these ideas, and it came to me as clear as day: podcast. So the idea came to call it the Ascension to Confidence, because it's a constant journey up. And whatever you decide to do, there is going to come a point in time where it is going to require you to be somebody that you're not at the moment. So you're going to have to ascend beyond wherever you're at right now, and it's going to take a lot of confidence. I definitely want to teach you how to incorporate tools that will help you maintain a life that reflects a general sense of well-being, that is as close to the version of yourself you want to be as possible, and not to just exist in concepts. Because a lot of us have this idea of ourselves, and we will tell ourselves, that's who I am. No, that's who you think you are. But who you really are and who you assume yourself to be are completely different, because we are what we do. If you only think about doing the healthy things, but you never do, you're not a healthy person. If you only think about working on your attitude, but you never do, you're not a peaceful person. If you only think about doing kind things, but you never do, you're not a kind person. In theory, you have good intentions, but if it's not actualizing, you are only existing in concepts. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. So, notes, because you got to be prepared, okay? You got to believe in yourself. And the belief in yourself, let me adjust myself right quick. Okay, let me get right. When it comes to believing in yourself, and when it comes to confidence, the way that most of the world views it, confidence gets a huge rap for the outward representation of an deep inward and inner standing of yourself, right? So a lot of times you will hear, you got to fake it till you make it. I know that works for some people. That is so cool. But I wasn't able to accomplish anything that I indirectly saw as fake first. Because if you're telling yourself in that moment that you're taking action, that you're faking something, it's going to make it a lot harder for you to believe in the reality of you accomplishing that thing, right? So, my take on it is, instead of focusing so much on what it looks like, you really have to do the hard work of dissecting the way you think, what drives you to make the decisions you make, and you have to force yourself to do something different. There's this cute, fluffy version of confidence we have, but I had to tell her, I said, sometimes when you look better, you do feel better. And it's true, because you've taken the time to prioritize yourself, to carve out some time in your day to make yourself look good. So at least if all of these things are going wrong in the world, you can look in the mirror and be like, cute. And if it ain't even got to be that deep, it don't. If that's all it takes for you to have enough zhuzh to get through the day, baby, put that shit on. Put it on, get dressed. If that, in that aspect, I understand the concept of faking it until you make it. But getting dressed is only going to do but so much. You're going to have to do something else besides put them lashes on, put that outfit on, and put that designer on. You're going to have to do some work on the inside. And what does that work look like? The first time I realized I was not confident was when I went to school to become a licensed massage therapist. It seems easy. It sounds like you just touched the person. But when I tell you, that was such an intensive program and it challenged me. I was going through a separation, I was married, and it just was not working out. And I need something that's going to make me a whole bunch of money in a short amount of time. And I Googled it, massage therapy. You got it. 1 hour for $100. 1, 2, 3, 4. How much I need? I started running them numbers and I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And I just made a decision. Step 1, make a decision. You need to make a decision. You have to decide. First off, you need to decide what it is that you want. And I didn't even realize that I wanted things until there was an absence of all the things that I did not see in my life. And a lot of time you'll hear people, you will hear people criticizing other people for not getting up off their feet or not trying harder. And what I had to realize is a lot of people don't even know. You don't know what you don't know. So to a person who's used to being ambitious, to a person who's used to going out and making a decision like I did, that seems like a no-brainer, that you would think to yourself, I want more for my life. But what is more when you ain't never seen it? What is that? Well, and who are you to even be the first person around everybody you know to have a thought like that? They gonna think you crazy. Then you really messed up, because now you're surrounded by people who are doing things that they feel like work for them. And child, nothing would, if you really want to see how difficult it is, let me stop patting my legs. If you really want to see how difficult it is, just go outside and try to give somebody advice on a difficult situation, or try to help somebody, or try to give somebody some knowledge on something that you've personally gone through, and watch how resistant they are to even listening to you. So I'm saying you have to sit with yourself and really look around and think, do I want to be like these people? Do I like what it feels like to live here, to work here, to be in this relationship, to look like this? Am I enjoying this? Is this making me feel better about myself? Am I at peace with this? If I die right now, would I have unfinished business? If the answer is, I don't like this. If you find yourself just kind of like going through the motions and you just don't feel good about nothing, I consider it like this feeling of swimming with socks on. It's like something is on you and you want it off and you can't get it off. Like, have you ever gone swimming with socks on or swimming with a whole bunch of clothes on? And then when you take the clothes off, you feel a lot more free. You feel a lot more fluid. That's what I attribute this feeling to, right? That is the thing that you need in order to start to even begin to construct a plan for how you are going to be more confident, because it is a very intentional practice and you have to be devoted to it. Like breathe in. You got to choose that every second, every day. It's not as exhausting as it seems, but at first you're going to feel out of it. Nobody's going to understand what you're doing, and you're going to have to be okay with that. But after you sit with it, after you've asked yourself those questions, now it's time for you to think about, what can you do to change that? What do you need to believe in order to actually do it? That's when it starts to get scary, because that's when you realize all of the things that you believe in your head and how a lot of them don't even come from you, how they come from other people's limiting beliefs. And I know we will hear that buzzword, and words are very interesting, and we'll talk about words in a different episode. When you come to the realization of exactly what it is that you believe, and that's where you've been operating from, that's when it gets hard, because you have to directly challenge that with every thought. And it can be anxiety inducing. It can be. That can be stressful. That's why you need one of these. That's going to be your friend, because in this journey, you most likely won't have anybody to talk to. You won't. Especially when it comes to redefining yourself when you've been a certain way for so many years. A lot of people will claim, oh, I want the best for you. But we all know, you see it. They want best for you as long as you ain't doing better than them. That's what everybody say. But when you're living it, you see how the people closest to you, and it's subtle little ways that they're irritated with you. It's subtle little things about how they don't want to compliment you. They don't want to encourage you. They don't want to support you. They don't want to see you doing well, or they don't even want to talk about the thing that you're doing, or they want to minimize it, or they don't want to share it, or it seems like they're really genuinely interested, but then they never check in with you to see how it's going. That is not for play. That's very real, and you're going to have to keep going regardless. The reason it's important for you to do this is because after you do, you have that initial thought and idea, then you have to do the hard thing. You have to do the hard thing. And for me personally, I just want to share a little bit about my story. Like I said, I had to go to massage therapy school, and that's when I realized I wasn't confident, because people would ask me, or I would have conversations with my friends about stuff like, they would say things like, my dream car is this, and I want to have a house that looks like this, and I want to go here. And I would just be sitting there like, I ain't even got no dream car. I don't even know what I would want to drive. I have bought cars, like 3 or 4 different cars, and every time I go to the lot, or I have gone to the lot, I never cared what car they gave me. Never did no homework. Never needed no specs, nothing. Just put me in anything. Does it go from A to B? Now, some people can say, oh, that's because you have humility. That's because, material things don't matter to you. No, it's because the way that I was raised, I wasn't allowed to want anything outside of what somebody else gave me. So anything was seen as amazing. And that's not a bad way to be. It teaches you how to be appreciative. It never teaches you how to want things for yourself. Anytime I had the idea that I don't think I like that, I was instantly deemed as ungrateful. And that messaging tells you that if you don't just take what people give you, if you don't just accept what other people feel like you deserve, you're ungrateful. How will you ever gain any confidence to even think of what you want if you have been convinced all your life that the only thing you're allowed to want is what somebody else wants to give you? Where does the nerve even come from? Where? And you don't realize the space in between what you're getting and what you want, because you don't want anything. And that is, it's almost like akin to being programmed to not have any needs. And that's why that observing your reality, sitting down with yourself and asking yourself questions about what you're seeing, what you're feeling is so important, because it'll take you out of the dissociation of what's going on and how you feel about it. And if you even want to, or if you want to, I want you to think about the thoughts you have immediately after thinking, I want this. Write down what you think immediately after that. I know it's going to sound crazy. I know how hard it is to sit down and ask yourself those questions. I know how hard it is to sit down and when you ask yourself those questions, to sit with those answers. You'll probably be thinking, why would I think that? This is what I think. This is how I feel about myself. So I go to this school. I don't know if you guys have ever watched a show called Community, but it is a show about community college. And I think it was created by Donald Glover, or I think he's like one of the executive producers, or I'm not sure, but he was in the show and it was just a whole group of people from a lot of different backgrounds, just boom, thrown into this phase of their life. And they're all trying to do something different. That's exactly what it felt like. There were older people, younger people, hippie people, conservative people, just actors, and all. Just Atlanta is a melting pot of a lot of different personalities anyway. But I really enjoyed going to that school. It was the Atlanta School of Massage in Dunwoody, Georgia. And I went there in 2017 and I graduated in 2018. What I learned about myself is that, first off, I told myself when I decided to sign up for that school that if I can do this, I can do anything. And when I told myself that, I sat in that car and I said, I don't care what nobody say. I don't care how people think she's just touching a body. I don't care how people think it's not that deep. She's not getting a doctorate degree. For her to think now that she done became a massage therapist that she can just conquer the world. That's crazy. That had nothing to do with me. I made a decision that this was my hard thing. And once I do this, I am adopting the knowledge that I can do anything when I do this. And I have been unstoppable ever since. Ever since. I take a licking and keep on ticking. I'm talking, I get knocked out. I can barely see, vision blurry, and I'm still going after what I said I would do. Okay? So you have to pick a thing to do. After you've made your list, you're going to pick a thing to do in another episode. But once I made that decision that after I did that, I can do anything, that was so hard. I had to drive an hour every day just to go there. I had to work doubles every weekend. I dealt with so many challenges. I almost got kicked out of the school for falling asleep because I was working so much. It was literally just like that. I felt like Diamond, except for I wasn't dancing. I was delivering pizzas. I don't know if the money's still good, but if you down kind of bad, deliver you some pizzas. Be careful though. But deliver you some pizzas, because on the weekends, that was a cute little coin. When stuff like that happens, it'll make you think, oh, I ain't supposed to do this. What is all this resistance? Push. How bad do you want it? We finna see. And I kept going. I was so crazy. I was smiling through all of it. I was so removed from all the stuff I was going through. I was just so excited to be trying something different. I was so excited to be in a different city. I was so excited to be gaining my own independence that I just said, whatever, next. I gotta go. I got stuff to do. Because whatever it is that you're thinking about accomplishing, whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, it is going to require a high level of being able to effectively and quickly solve problems. And if you're not given any opportunity to, how do you think you're going to develop that? So you got to get good at it. And it's also really good for you to get used to things going wrong. So emotionally, you know how to deal with it without internalizing it as an indicator that you're less deserving of something or that something is not for you. So you have to learn how to get pushed and then get up for that reason, just to strengthen that muscle of, okay, I can take that. I can take that. I can figure that out. I can figure it out. So let me tell you what happened. I get there. Things are going cool. The man wakes up one day and say, I don't want a roommate no more. Huh? I want you out tomorrow. He told me that on a Monday night and told me he wanted me out Tuesday. I had class, I had work, and I had all of my stuff with nowhere to go. Your girl got on Craigslist. Dangerous, I know. And I ended up staying at this man's house. And the mattress had cum stains and all kind of stuff on it. It was very scary. The front door didn't lock. I had all of my YouTube equipment with me, very expensive equipment that at that time I did not have the money to replace if it came to that. I'm staying with him. He got people coming in and out of the house. I don't know who they are. This girl walks in looking like a pimp. She's staring at me like, and I'm like, oh my God, am I about to get trafficked? I was so scared, but I didn't have nowhere to go. What was I going to do? I still had to go to school. So I don't even know what side of Atlanta I was on, child. I was just on the side where, and I was just cheesing. The man was talking to me, telling me stories about how, he's had people come in and out of this house, and he just posted on Craigslist how his sugar daddy paying for the place. And I'm just like, yeah, I ain't even have no door. He had me in what was essentially a dining room, and it had sheets up, and like I told you, the front door didn't lock. I just didn't feel comfortable there, so I ended up having to leave, and he didn't want to give me my money back. So I'm out $300 after just paying $450. Thank God I was working them doubles and triples every damn day. I'm going back and forth from school. I'm trying to figure out where am I going to lay my head. One of my coworkers tells me that he has a homeboy, and hey, pay attention to this. Now, this how they be trafficking girls. Pay attention. He had a homeboy who has an apartment that he was never at, and he would let me stay there. I was desperate, so I went. I didn't go to his apartment, but I ended up going to the friend's brother's house. It was 3 brothers. And as soon as I got there, I was like, this could work. It was like a downstairs unit. It had all kind of stuff, like my own bathroom, washer and dryer, but the washer and dryer was the washer and dryer that everybody used. And once again, the door no lock. The door didn't lock. So it was uncomfortable. Then the guy started doing things like asking for hugs, and I was like, I got to go. I got to go. It's getting weird. I'm scared. I was scared. I was scared. And this is when I was talking to my mom. I called her and I was like, I'm staying here. And she was like, Alexandra, get out of there. They're going to rape you. One of the brothers was definitely giving them vibes. I don't know. But I had to tell my coworker, I was like, why did you have me go over here? And these dudes was like trying to hug me and stuff. And I was like, what's going on? Da, da, da. And he was just like, I'm sorry, I know it was like that. I was like, yeah, but I can't say no. I go somewhere else. I was on Craigslist basically doing auditions. I ended up there was this guy. I'm landing. I got to tell you how difficult things get, right? I am on Craigslist trying to figure out where I'm gonna stay. So after I leave the guy's house, his place was being paid for by the sugar daddy, but he still wanted rent. And after I leave the place where the brothers is there and they want hugs, I ended up going to this man's apartment, and he had a girl living with him. And I was so naive, I didn't even understand what he was proposing. I didn't even understand what his man was proposing. But I go in there and the girl is there and she's cleaning, and she's a very beautiful, dark-skinned girl, and he's bald-headed. A bald-headed man. And he's like, okay, so are you nice? And I was like, yeah, I'm nice, I'm not really going to be here much because I'm going to be working. He was like, but when you are here, would you socialize with us? And I was like, yeah, I'll talk to y'all. I ain't got a problem with that. Y'all seem real cool. Stupid girl. Stupid girl. Dummy. I look back on it and I'm like, what's going on? What's the problem? Oh, they wanted me to be a throuple. Oh, and he looked at her and he was just like, what you think? And she was like, I ain't got no problems. And just a little funny story about this. This is when I wasn't wearing socks with my tennis shoes. I know. Gross. Notice I said wasn't. I wear socks with my tennis shoes now. My feet don't stink, but my stinky feet saved me because my stinky feet saved me that day. I went in there and I had to take my shoes off, and I was like, dang, my feet are going to stink. And that man was fully ready to let me live at his house, but we were talking. He was like this. And I was like, oh, he don't like my stinky feet. Oh, no. And I never got a call back. There is no telling what my experience in Atlanta could have been like if I would have had to stay there. So long story short, I ended up staying with the girl that my best friend knew from this group on Facebook that we were on. And she ended up letting me move with her. And at first she stayed in Cumberland, which wasn't too far from Dunwoody. So the drive was like, I want to say like 25, 30 minutes with traffic. But then she ended up moving to Douglasville. And when she moved to Douglasville, I had my own room because I was staying in her son's room, which was just another thing, like just thinking about how me being on that journey led to me seeing just so many different sides of people, right? And how God just kept making a way for me and how God just kept providing for me. And even though it was very interesting stories, very uncomfortable situations that I never would have thought myself to be in, I kind of see it like, have y'all ever read the book called The Alchemist? I read it every year. And if you've ever read it, then you understand that there are a lot of different things that we go through and they all help us on a journey. But the interesting thing is, it's all right in front of us from the start, right? It's all right in front of us from the start. I ended up staying with her until I finished school. And that was challenging in itself, just the distance and the different personalities. It was difficult in itself, but I always had a place to lay and I will forever be grateful for her, to her for that. But in that time, I really realized I was a lot stronger than I ever thought I was. But there was this lady, who was the director of the school, and we had a conversation about how a lot of people don't make it through the massage program. And I saw people start dropping like flies because you have to make it a priority. You have to be willing to miss out on work because it's an 8 hour every day. It's 8 hours, 5 days a week. And then on weekends, we had clinics where we had to do massages for free, just to get the experience of touching the person's body and getting feedback and getting comfortable with the medical side of things. And if you couldn't commit yourself to that, then you were released from the program. I did not have time to be released from the program, so I had to make it work. I had to figure it out, and I did. And one day in class, we had lost like 3 people in a week. And she said to me and those people, she said, a lot of people think that smart people are the people who make it. Smart people or people with a lot of money are the people who are successful. And she said, really, no. It's really the people who have grit. And I asked her, because I was so green. I said, what is grit? And she was just like, grit is your ability to keep going no matter what. It is a relentless pursuit of whatever it is that you are seeking to accomplish. And that is a difference between the haves and the have-nots. I couldn't stand that lady. I thought she was stone cold ice queen, didn't care, lacked compassion. But when she said that, I was tuned in, and I had a different level of respect for her after she shared her story. And I was like, I get it. You a bad bitch. And sometimes when you a bad bitch, it come with a little attitude. It come with a little cold shoulder. You know what I'm saying? You ain't as warm. You gotta work on that. You gotta work on that. You a bad bitch. You doing what you gotta do. I thought to myself, I want to be relentless, because I always thought of myself as not being able to accomplish anything. I barely graduated high school because I was pregnant. And I thought to myself, I'm not strong enough to do anything. There are reasons why I thought that. There are definitely people in my life who heavily contributed to that limiting belief that I adopted, that I internalized. So when I first got there and I saw all of these people from different walks of life, I'm working in a big, big city, coming from Ocala, Florida, then moving to Fort Stewart, Georgia, then moving to Atlanta, Georgia. Culture shock. Culture shock. I had been a mom since I was a little girl, 17 years old. I had never been able to embark on such a big city by myself, with my future and my fate completely in my own hands. I was terrified. I didn't know what I was doing. And that's when I started to develop systems. That's when I started to have expectations. That's when I started to have standards for myself. That's when I identified that there is a huge gap between who I think I am and who I really am. And I started to think I need to close that gap. Because I'm not comfortable with what I think and what I am not matching. I don't like that. That feels fake to me. And a lot of people, especially in Atlanta, they can exist like that. A lot of people in the world can exist with their concept of self being completely removed from the reality of who they are. That's why you see all these people walking around lying, flexing, like they got it and they don't, like they are compassionate and they're not, like they're understanding or loving, or like they actually give a damn about other people and they really don't, because the concept of themselves is completely different from the reality of themselves. Or a lot of times their reality of themselves is just so deeply rooted in superficial things, they don't even realize what is going on. They're so out of the loop, babes. They're so out of the loop. But I had to be honest with myself about the fact that I am not who I think I am. I had a problem with that. What Michael Jordan said, I took that personal. I took that personal because I didn't like that. So I had to figure out, what am I going to do? Your homework, because I'm finna wrap this up. Oh, long story short, I ended up finishing that program. I ended up working with the chiropractor, which was one of the things that our instructor told us was right below working with a sports team as a massage therapist. It was one of those jobs where it was really hard, and I advocated for myself. When I worked at the spas, I learned to negotiate my salary. Look, I felt like a boss. I learned how to negotiate my salary, and I was just coming fresh out of school, making more than people who had been massage therapists for 13 years, just because I developed the confidence, the nerve, the audacity, the belief in my abilities in these hands, but it was backed up with proof, backed up with my investment. And I mean what I do. When I lay hands on you, this is intentional. You're going to feel that. That's worth money, more than everybody else up in here. And I was not wrong. So I say all that to say, I want you to examine your reality right now. Is my concept of myself and the reality of myself matching up? And what am I willing to do? And what do I need to do to start to change that? Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Ascension to Confidence podcast. I'm Alexandria, aka Zandy. If you got this far, thank you so much. And I hope that this first episode is beneficial to you. And I hope I see you in episode 2. Bye.